So you finally made it to the finish line, or just about. You've worked hard your whole life and now you're about to retire. Well, let's pump the brakes for a second and make sure that we do this right. My name is Connor Mackey. I'm a financial advisor at Strategic Financial Group, and we're aware that each person's retirement is different from the next. You know, when most people think of financial advisors, they think of people who manage funds. You probably think of a financial advisor as someone who you hand your life savings to, and then that professional invests in the markets, and that's it. Well, let me in on a little industry secret. Well, really not so secret. The investing of finances is one of the easier parts, at least for most people. The real value of a financial advisor is the creation of a financial plan and holding the client accountable to that plan. So we use an analogy around the office of an architect, right? You can have a vision in your mind of what your dream forever home will be, but until you hire a professional architect to lay it on paper, following building codes and creating a list of materials, it's just an idea in your mind. Financial advisors look at the whole picture of retirement, your funds included in that, and start to draw up plans. We consider a multitude of things, right? We look at your longevity, your current health, your beneficiaries, how to give to your kids and charities in ways that will benefit you from a tax perspective, right? We even consider how you're going to spend your time in retirement, like hobbies, part-time work, or traveling. And it's really important to draw up this plan and make sure that it is a plan that will work for you. I've heard it said before that you get one retirement. Don't screw it up. There's a multitude of items that we should look at before retirement, but we really just want to focus on three things today. That is income planning, taxes, and lifestyle and purpose. The first question is, where will your paycheck come from when you stop working? This is probably the most obvious question to ask, and I trust that you're doing this already, but really I just want to make sure that you're taking your time in doing this. There's an old saying that your retirement outcome depends on your retirement income, which is to say that how you spend your time in retirement can be greatly impacted by the funds that you have available to create your retirement paycheck. A lot of you have probably seen the image of this three-legged stool where your retirement is supported by three different income sources. First, you have Social Security, then your retirement savings, and then a pension. Something that I do at our Social Security seminars is that I ask if anyone in the room has a pension, even if it's only $80 a month, which I've seen $80 a month pensions before. What we notice is that we see less and less pensions afforded to our clients. The result is that retirement income becomes this strange balancing act between two income sources. For most, it's going to be Social Security and their retirement savings, which is one reason why it's more important than ever to make sure that you are not taking too much risk in your retirement years. A balancing act has been created between these two sources, and if you don't balance them well, then there could be a chance that a part-time job is in your future. That, of course, is not to say that part-time jobs are a bad thing. A lot of our clients have part-time jobs well into their retirement. I have a friend from church who is probably about 75, and during the summers he works at a local grocery store because he enjoys being around the people and giving himself something to do. The point is, it's optional for him. And we want to make sure that it's an optional for you as well. A lot of the equation of where your income comes from can be helped by knowing how much you will need in retirement too. Having a steady income with steady expenses can help mitigate the work optional lifestyle turning into a work is not optional lifestyle. I remember that we had someone call into the office one time, this was a couple months ago, and they asked if they could afford to retire. And so we can make up some numbers for this. We'll say that they had $40,000 in Social Security and they could afford to take out $20,000 a year from their retirement savings. Can they afford to retire? Well, it depends. Can they afford to live off of $60,000 a year? If so, yes, they can afford to retire. If not, then maybe they can make some changes to their budget or work a little bit longer to get to a comfortable level. It's all subjective, and for most people, it doesn't need to be complicated. We can keep the questions simple to start and work with you into the more complicated questions. How will your taxes affect your retirement income is one of those more complicated questions. We've seen with a lot of our clients that they don't spend as much as they thought they would in retirement. There's only so many times you can visit Florida or Europe before it becomes a chore and you want to just stay home. And as a result, for a lot of our clients, they're seeing lower tax bills than they may have expected. However, for some, they see the higher tax bill because of the way their assets are structured in all their different accounts. So, for example, if they have a brokerage account and we need to rebalance them to get them back into a certain risk tolerance, well, then that may require them to pay some taxes depending on their retirement income. Emergencies also happen. I've seen it before. Just because you are in retirement does not mean you do not need an emergency fund. Say, for example, a married couple filing jointly is in the 22% federal tax bracket and they suddenly need a new roof or a new car. If they pull it from their emergency fund from the bank, then they're fine. No expected taxes from doing that. Maybe they have some taxes from a high yield savings account, something like that, but they'll be okay. If they have no emergency fund and they have to pull it from their IRA, well, ding, 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 then that will be a taxable event. The point is we have to be aware of how taxes are going to be different in retirement. We have some clients that are living so far below their means that they are paying taxes right now to exercise Roth conversion. So that just means that they are transferring funds from their traditional IRA, paying the taxes now, and moving them into their Roth IRA so that they don't have to pay taxes later on. I think many of you may agree this is just speculation. It's not any factual statement or guarantee, but we look at the state of our national debt and we say there's a couple ways to pay this down, and one of them is raising taxes. And so we have a belief or a hunch that taxes will be raised in the future, not necessarily going to happen, but there's a good chance. So a Roth conversion might be a good plan for some of our clients, because if taxes go up, you save some money on taxes in the long run. But if taxes go down, which we do not suspect that they will, but we could be wrong, well, then it was not a good move. Either way, these are things to consider for the future. The last thing in terms of taxes to be aware of is inherited IRAs. Some of you may have inherited an IRA while you were still working, right? And you're probably aware that if you inherit an IRA, you have to drain that account within 10 years. Uncle Sam says, we've waited long enough. It's time for our cut in this account. Of course, it doesn't need to be one giant distribution. You can do it however you want as long as that account is drained within 10 years. If you're still working, which is very typical when people inherit IRAs, then you'll likely have those taxable funds coming to you on top of your salary. And this can create a major tax liability for some who are in their highest earning years of their lives. If you're already in retirement, then it may be an opportunity to leave your assets alone while drawing off of this inheritance. You've been given an opportunity, right, to potentially push back your retirement withdrawals up to 10 years, depending on the amount and your spending. This is a huge opportunity. Don't waste it. The last question we have to ask is, what will your days look like once work is no longer the center of your schedule? Again, drawing back to my 75-year-old friend that I have that still has this summer job as if he's a high schooler, right? He chooses to do that to stay socially connected and to stay active. Retirement is not just about the number in your account, but how will you spend your time? Routine is a very important part of the human experience. A lot of people find great pleasure in knowing that once a year they're going to travel. They're going to go on daily walks with their spouse and their dog. They enjoy knowing that every Thursday they're going to watch their grandkids. I, for example, own a little farm where I own sheep, right? And it might sound weird to some of you, but I can walk through the field with my sheep for hours and watch them play with each other and they follow you around. It's this great experience for me. I dream of the day where I get to do that every single morning for as long as I want, to wake up and go out with them every day and care for them. And that way, they're also caring for me by giving me something to do and look after. And here's the great thing about it. Nobody else gets to dictate what it looks like with you. Although it may be a good idea to have some agreement with your spouse. We have a couple of clients that joke about not answering phone calls after 10 a.m. because they were up till 1 a.m. every single night, and they have that routine. They have a routine. Although it might not be traditional, it is their routine. All of this becomes even more fulfilling when you consider all the hard work that it took to get you there. Your retirement is supposed to be something you enjoy. Remember, you only get one retirement, so let's make sure that we don't screw it up. We have a motto here at Strategic Financial Group of plan smart, retire smart. The whole notion is that retirement isn't about having some perfect number so you can go to Fiji twice a year. If that's your dream, then we can plan for it, but the numbers have to line up as well. But the whole notion is that we have to create a plan that is going to work for you. Create a smart plan so that you can retire smart. If you're wondering if you're on the right track, it may be worth meeting with a professional, and that's where our firm may be able to help. Go to strategicfg.net and contact us there. We can help you plan smart, retire smart.